Morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome to CAD Class Podcast. I'm Josh,
I'm Jake.
and you guys know the drill. Every week we sign on here, we answer some of the questions that you've been working through in the book. We interact with you all in the community, and we have a good time doing it. So we got some fun stuff in store for everybody today. I think we do. Hey, Jake?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of really groovy stuff. This week has been kind of busy for us. In a good way.
In a very good way. Yeah. It's one of those things, I think, when you're early in a startup, because we very much are a startup, although we're not trying to be a billion-dollar startup, right? It's like it takes a while to get momentum, but I'm feeling like we're a little bit higher on the momentum curve right now. So a lot of really good stuff, which is great. But it means that we're now working until we pass out. Literally, I think you fell asleep on the floor, right, last night, Jake?
I was telling Josh before we went live yesterday. I started work at 4:30 a.m. and then finished at 5 or something. And I literally sat down with my family and I blinked, and then my fiance leaned over and said, "Oh, you needed that." What? Love, you've been asleep for like almost 2 hours now. We've finished an entire documentary. What?
Yeah.
So
we're working hard. Good morning. So I want to shout out the people that are here. Maple Leaf Makers, good morning. You were first. You were actually here like 15 minutes before we started.
I know.
And commented first. Awesome to have you. Aaron Rosen. Aaron is our Alaska student. I'm sure there are more. I'd love to know who else is from where.
I think that'd be a ton of fun to like put pins in a globe and see if we can get a student from every country, every state in America. I think that'd be a ton of fun.
So just last night, I realized somebody from Namibia is following us, and he's a maker in Namibia. So I'm gonna see if he's like in the book. I definitely want to put that peg down.
That'd be awesome.
One student from every country would just be the coolest thing, and I think we're probably
do I count for England? Can I count as a student for the pin?
I was just looking at our book sales, and I want to say 20 to 25% of our book sales this month have been from England.
Yeah.
Legacy of Bob, welcome. Thank you for coming in.
From Germany as well, which is kind of funky.
A lot of Germans, yeah. So if you all are new here, which I don't think there are too many of you who are new here, but if you are, feel free to post your questions in the chat. We're going to answer Fusion360 related stuff. We're going to talk all things making. And if you don't have any questions, that's totally fine too, because we had a bunch of stuff come into to the Discord this week. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first, before we get into the Fusion360 stuff, Patrick, there we go. England too. Welcome, Patrick. Nice to have you. So we got an amazing email this morning from somebody who downloaded the free copy of our book, and I'm just going to pull it up really quickly and read it because it's like it encapsulates the entire reason that we did some of this stuff. So this guy's name is Mason. Mason said, "I wanted to write to thank you for the amazing work you published at the beginning of this past summer. I watched the release of your book and tried and failed to learn Fusion360 for 2 years prior. I was going to buy a copy, then I saw the ebook and was going to buy that, but then yet again I noticed and I saw that there was one for free, so I downloaded a free copy to try things. Your direction was like nothing else, super easy to follow and fun along the way. Challenges were an epic touch. It really brought out all of my critical thinking. I did end up, he did until the Saturn V rocket, and then he started designing his own stuff. One of the things was an air scoop for a vintage Mercedes, which I posted to a Facebook group I'm in. People loved it, and I started a micro business out of it. I now have an eBay store and have sold over 85 units of miscellaneous parts for these old cars. To date, I have profited over $1,250 and acquired a Prusa MK3, which paid for itself in a week. As a 17-year-old, this was awesome to watch grow and now take the next steps in. As I was recalling the other day, I could never have done any of this without your book and you guys' free education that you published. This is why I wanted to donate $50 and write a thank you." Incredibly generous, Mason. Incredibly generous. We're just stoked with the email. As of me sending this, my donation should have been processed. It was paid in full by my first month's revenue on eBay.
That's awesome.
I appreciate what you do. So I don't know if you're here, Mason. If you are, that's just rad. If you're not, that's okay. I invited him onto the pod. Hopefully he's going to post some of his things that he's made to the I Made a Thing. And I'm hoping he posts also a link to his eBay page, because that's just that's why we do this. That's why we do this.
It's the coolest thing. It really is so awesome. Every time we see someone who actually start a mini business, and usually it's a couple bucks here and there, which is fine.
Oh,
A nice little metric that I really like whenever I hear people that are kind of starting their own business is instead of saying, "Oh, I'm making $20 a day, $100 a week," blah, 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 they start off with, "Oh, I've got a free lunch every day." They start out so kind of locally, which I really, really dig. They go, "Oh, this just paid for a nice dinner. This just paid for just like a little lunch," and it's like,
oh,
yeah, that's like what, $10 per day. You can get to that, and as soon as you take the first bite of that first hamburger, and you go,
I'm hooked.
this is paid for by by CAD and by 3D printing. It is so strangely satisfying. It's lovely.
It's intoxicating. Yeah, I think that's why a
It
lot of us are here. A
really
lot of us are, not everybody's an entrepreneur. Not everybody has to sell things. That's not what we're saying. But when
no.
you taste it, you want more of it. I think you and I talked about this a little bit, where we made our first sale in the middle of the night and woke up having had somebody sign up for our course, and that was just
Mhm.
such an insane idea. I know,
Yeah.
like we talk about this a fair bit too. It's like we know we're a worldwide company, but truly we're a worldwide when people sign up in the middle of the night and we wake up and it's all these things have happened while we're in
Yeah.
bed. So
Yeah.
super
It's
super
amazing.
cool. Congratulations. This is not about us.
Yeah.
This is about Mason. Congratulations,
Dude,
Mason. I hope to get
hats
him
off
this
to you.
video clip. Hats off.
Yeah.
Completely amazing. Keep us posted. Post in our Discord. And the same applies to any of you here watching us now. The absolute most joyful thing for us is seeing what you make and then
Yeah.
seeing what it turns into and really who you all turn into as well. So amazing
Mhm.
stuff.
And just to bounce off of this, coming into this CAD world and just kind of spreading education, just such a surprise at how many small entrepreneurs get that kind of local tangible amount of profit and income just from small car parts coming in. Before this, I never knew how busy and, and lucrative it was. But we've had what, maybe like 5 to 10 people that have contacted us saying, "Oh, I
At
work
least.
on old cars,
At least.
and there's this little tiny plastic part from the 1950s that nobody sells anymore because
Yep.
why would they?
Yep.
Nobody kept around because why would they? And I'm now selling a handful of them a week for $25." And it's like, that's awesome.
I love it.
That's so cool.
I love
It's
it.
so rad.
Yeah, the micro businesses are big. The car thing is huge. I think actually the story behind the car stuff is manufacturing. As manufacturing goes away, as these cars are no longer supported, this actually applies broadly outside of just cars. I think there's just
Oh
cars
yeah.
happen to be that niche where people are super passionate.
Yeah.
They care a lot about them, and there's a high spend. They're willing to pay what they need to pay in order to fix that car so that it drives again. It looks nice. They take it to shows and things
Yeah.
like that. So it's this nice confluence of a community of people with a love for a thing, also willing to spend some money towards their hobby. So if you're looking for something to sell, if you're looking for something to do, and you can find that niche where there's passion and then there's people willing to pay, you can certainly make a business.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
One of the things
and
that
it's funny
I've
to think
seen
like
that,
it's funny to think that our niche is sort of similar, right? I mean, it's not in that people aren't quite as passionate about CAD as they are about old cars, but they certainly are passionate about bringing their ideas to life. And we've gotten a
yeah,
lot of feedback here in the past couple of weeks that our programs are helping people to bring their dreams to life. So we're a little bit in that niche, but you could do better than us. Actually, pickleball would
yeah,
be a good one. We talk about pickleball sometimes. That's a niche which people are passionate about still right now.
yeah. I would love
Anyways,
to see a 3D printed pickleball that just explodes when you hit it.
oh well, it turns
And you
out we
go,
have the
"Oh,
tool. We
whoops."
could do that. Yeah, we could do
Yeah.
that. All right, let's talk Fusion. So we wanted to,
Let's
I
do
think,
Fusion.
let's dive in. We had Ghost Pepper. I don't know if Ghost Pepper's in here. I'm just going to say the names that I see on Discord coming in.
Mhm.
And Ghost Pepper, if you're here, we're going to talk about something you asked in the Saturn V rocket section.
Mhm.
Jake, you want to pull up Fusion?
Let's do
And
it.
let's look here. Hey, Aaron is Ghost Pepper. Oh, I think I probably knew that actually. I think I
All
probably
right.
knew that.
So I'm just going to pull up the Saturn V rocket. That'll be in chapter 0. Let's get started on it. I believe what they were asking for was when we're making the sketch of the fin down here. I'm not quite sure which sketch it is. I believe it's that one. There we go. So when they were doing their sketch, they were noticing that when they have two vertical dimensions, sometimes your number is on the left-hand side and sometimes on the right-hand side. And very often, anytime you're coming up with sketches that you know you're going to be giving to other people, or you may be reviewing it in a year's time, you want to make sure everything is as neat and tidy and organized as possible. So if you ever need to come back to it, you don't have, just a random sketch that's way down here and something's over there, and it's like hard to see what's going on. You want it to be nice and neat and tidy. And so anytime you're having horizontal dimensions, obviously they're going to be, facing the right way, but vertical's looking a little left and right and a little skew with. So what's going on with this? So I actually don't know about this, and I recommended them actually rotate their entire view and try it again. But I haven't done it, and I figured that this would be a fantastic live experiment. There is always going to be tiny little tips and tricks that I have no idea about in Fusion, and so we may as well do it on a podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this 26mm dimension, and then I'm going to close down the sketch palette because nobody uses it. So this may be a little trick if you don't know about this. If you go up to the view cube, obviously there is a little house icon that disappears. But there's also these arrows where you can actually click and rotate your view, which is kind of nice. So what I was recommended is, flick it over. So now your number is horizontal in the right dimension. And then let's try this out. And hopefully when we flip our view back, it should stay. So let's move this down, 26, hit enter. And then we click back the other way. It flips over. Really strange. Let's try that for the 6. See if that does anything. This is something that I have absolutely no idea why it does this. Yeah, weirdest thing. Can you think of what happened, Josh?
What? No, I don't.
I don't know either. It just flicks.
What?
Super strange. Obviously, it doesn't affect the sketch or the dimensions of the CAD at all, but really, really weird. Really
very,
strange,
very
right?
strange. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Ghost Pepper, Aaron, let us know if that helped. I mean, It's probably not the explanation you were looking for, but yeah, I don't know.
But it did kind of lead us to we'll eventually making a little bit of a more of a YouTube video about this content. But there's a bunch of tools in the ViewCube that a lot of people don't utilize as much as they should. So I figured we'll spend a little bit kind of going over a bunch of the different tools in here that maybe you don't know about.
Going overing.
So obviously, when you look at the view cube, you can click the little house icon to get isometric view. This is the view that you kind of want to go to when you're going from a 2D sketch to a 3D object. If you kind of imagine that you're extruding a square and looking directly downwards and you're extruding it upwards, you kind of have no idea if it's going to be exactly the dimension that you want, or if you accidentally double-clicked a number and it's now gigantic, because obviously if you're looking down, it looks exactly the same. But if you look at it at this isometric view, it's way easier to see the scale of things. That's pretty common. Then a lot of people know that you can click all the words on here. So if you want to click where it says front, it will give you a front view. That's pretty obvious. You can also click on the edges of our view cube, and you can also click on the corners. You go, okay, well, this is all looking fine. Like I said before, you can also click on the arrows to change your view. You can also click on these arrows there as well. So this top arrow is going to be pointing to the top. So it does the exact same thing, and you can click between them. I think a lot of people know these. But what not a lot of people realize is there's this little pull down arrow right here that's got a bunch of extra stuff on there as well. So go home. Again, this does the same thing as the home button, but you can also change that. You can reassign that shortcut location. So if I want to change my home view to something like that for whatever reason, you can go into the view cube and you can say, I would like to set the current view as home. And I can say, yeah, from a fixed distance. So every single time that I move this and click that home view, I'm now put back to that view. There's not a ton of reasons why you'd want to do this over and over again, but it is a handy little tool. What else is in there? Go home, like we said. You can change your view, so you can change between orthogonal and perspective, which is kind of funky. Anytime you're talking about a perspective, It's a little bit more realistic. We go over it more in the rendering and the appearance workspace, but it's when things that are further away actually curve either inward or outward, just like they do in real life. Not super duper good for when you're doing engineering drawings and things have to look nice and neat and square. But it's a little bit easier to see like this. You can see the bottom of it is actually bulging downwards. But if I change our view over to orthographic, then everything is nice and neat and square. So this is a really easy trick if you're ever in the rendering workspace and you want things to look just a little bit more realistic. You can add that bulging effect by changing your camera to perspective. And then it looks a little bit more realistic to how it would in real life. But yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Another reminder that when you're, especially when you're, I mean, even not when you're new, but when you're new, click around all the tools, and especially the ones that you use all the time. I think one of the pitfalls that's easy to make with anything is, oh, well, I now know how that works. Let me just move on to the next thing. And I get that, right? Because there's just too much information to learn, but don't forget to play around with those tools. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly learning new softwares and new updates, and I'll just click on random stuff and I'll just learn the most strange things here and there. So
yeah,
keep on learning. It's such a general phrase, but yeah, click anywhere. Right click anywhere as well. There's a bunch of random new tools all the time.
Mr. Mitnick, PC Van Vliet, says it's also great for getting a 45-degree view for adding a plane, for instance. Yeah, I mean, what do you do more than hit the view cube? And if anybody in here isn't on a 3-button mouse, I don't know. That's my biggest tip for the view cube is try not to use it very much.
Yeah. I did see that. So for you guys that are brand new to the CAD world, there is actually a CAD mouse that's specifically for dealing with somebody who's orbiting and zooming in. It's called the Space Mouse. I have no idea what company makes it. I just know that's a product name. And they make it in a bunch of different sizes, but I've never used it. Of what I've heard from CAD people, it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you're talking about, I'm in my home view and I want to zoom in onto this back fin right here, I'd have to move it to the center of my stage, zoom in a little bit, and then orbit around. That's just kind of the 3-part viewing that you'd have to do. With the Space Mouse, it's got downwards and spinning and orbiting features, and you're able to kind of do that all in one function. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with it, but apparently you're able to just kind of flick your wrist and you're able to look at anything at any zoom and any angle. Of what I've heard from CAD people, it is absolutely fantastic. But I've always just liked a super duper normal mouse. I'm kind of fast enough at it that I don't really need to mess around with it too much. But yeah, who knows? I believe they just added functionality to Mac OS to use the Space Mouse now. So
I've seen people use it. I have seen people use it, and the people who use it swear by it. So definitely,
they really swear by it. Yeah.
It says so. We have right here. Apparently, it's called 3D Connection. However you say that.
That sounds about right.
Sounds about right. And then Patrick here says it's a great bit of kit. Takes a little time to get used to. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It says it's a bit on the spendy time. Yeah, it says it's a little spendy. Would love to try once I learn a little more. Yeah, I mean, neither Jake nor I use it. Not to say that that should prevent you from getting it, but it's not necessary for a while.
No.
Bit on the spendy side.
We're probably at the stage where, yeah, that'd be fantastic. But again, any kind of software or tools or any accessories that we recommend to people, it should be something that's reasonably affordable and accessible to someone who's brand new to it. Definitely. And saying to someone who's just downloading a free software, saying, yeah, you need to go out and get this $100, $200 mouse. We really highly recommend it. It's like, nah, that's not super cool.
PC Van Vliet says it's great for not getting carpal tunnel, carpal tunnel. So yeah. I think that if you're playing around on computers as much as we are, that is definitely a very real concern. And $100 for a wrist-saving device doesn't actually seem so crazy when viewed through that lens, compared to the surgery required to fix your carpal tunnel.
I've seen a bunch of people use trackballs, the trackball mouse.
Those drive me crazy. I can't believe that's possible.
I had a buddy.
It makes me think of my grandmother.
Laptop. Yeah, I had a buddy in college who had a laptop that was gigantic. It was something like an 18-inch screen. and just the power brick alone was like that big. It was ridiculous. Like his backpack just had his laptop and charger in it. That's it, and it weighed a ton. And he would just have his mouse and he would just plonk it on the corner of it and just use the trackball. And I tried it and I'm like, I hate this. I absolutely hate it. And he's like, nah, it's easy when you get used to it. I'm like, dude, my thumb is cramping up and I use it in 2 seconds.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Good. Well, good tips on the ViewCube.
People that like it.
Yeah, they really do like it. We have another shout out to somebody on our Discord. So we made this Discord so that obviously we hop in and we help you out when we can, but we also hope that our Discord community becomes something that supports everybody else in that Discord community. So we had somebody in the Vassal who made a comment in the space prop emitter right here. If you click to the space prop emitter, this was just so cool to see. So somebody had asked a question, and we can answer this question live here too, but somebody had asked a question about the space prop emitter, and I can't read what's on your screen there, but maybe you could read it for us. And somebody else responded to them with a video. So they went out of their way to help somebody else in our community. I just want to shout that out. I mean, that's so cool to see.
I have not seen this yet.
I haven't watched the video. I just saw that there was a video there when I was doing my research this morning.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I believe this is a problem. So I've tried over and over again to reattach the points and make the warning signs go away, but I could never figure out what Fusion's problem was. So usually anytime you've got these little warning symbols on there, it's usually in order of operation, or you might be clicking in slightly the wrong area. Usually just deleting it and going back, usually that fixes it. But for this person, that wasn't a solution. But then Vassal is responding. He said, hope this will help. Sorry for the recording app. It is free. When you make the dimension and the origin green circles appear, then hit click. I'm sure his video makes perfect sense.
His video probably makes sense. Yeah, I guess my point here is like I didn't entirely know. Yeah, I didn't entirely know how to help solve that issue, but also how cool is it that our community is making videos for other people? I mean, just totally amazing. Hey guys, I really need to set an alarm for this show. Sam, wait, aren't you? What time zone are you in, Sam? Alarm? What are you talking about? 9:30. Oh, maybe just a reminder alarm, not a wake up alarm.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. So Sam, thanks for joining us. By the way, Sam was one of our first testers Eastern time. Oh, okay, so then it's not a wake up alarm. It's Sam was one of our beta testers on Reddit way back in the day when we were building out the course, and now left us just a beautiful review about our book on Amazon, and has continued to be a big supporter of this community. Also, which we talked about earlier, Sam, you weren't here yet, but also a car guy, is building out some windshield wiper motor parts, was one of the things he was working on. So nice to have you, Sam. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you back again.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Aaron says maybe he works the graveyard shift like I do. Yeah, Alaska. Aaron is from Alaska, for those of you who don't know. That's the work hours there are a little bit different than the rest of the world, I would say.
A little bit.
Okay, so the centerline trick. Do we want to talk about the filament guide, the centerline trick?
Really quick, before we go on to this, we were chatting with, we had a little meeting yesterday with a bunch of really groovy people in the CAD, the Creator CAD environment, who were going through our book, going through our course. And what they were saying is that this paperclip trick was one of their favorite challenges they did. I think we've talked about it a bunch on this pod, where I go, yeah, it's a good challenge, but the actual object itself, it's paperclip. It's not super duper exciting. Of what we've heard from the community, people love this project. And what they like is that there's so many different ways to do it. And they were going through the Discord when they need help, and they go, oh my gosh, everyone has found a slightly different solution to what to do. And it really rings true to all of the different parts of CAD, that there's more than one way to skin a cat, as morbid and creepy of expression that is. It is so true. There is no one perfect way to do it. There's usually dozens and dozens and dozens of different ways to do the exact same thing. So the fact that all of these people have found different ways to do the same thing is awesome. Super duper cool.
Do you want to talk about a couple of those ways, or does that ruin it for some people?
I think it'll ruin it. I want them to go through the Discord and kind of learn it. But yeah, just to continue off of Sam, thank you so much for the review. It was very, very lovely. If anybody here has picked up our book, we love to read the reviews on Amazon. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out.
Yeah. Please do leave us a review on Amazon. It's it's how we're building out exposure in that world. David Dickens says, hello from Ireland. David, it is really nice to have you. Welcome.
All right. Let's go into the center line. So when we go into the challenge for the Chapter 1 project, the filament guide, at the very end, we say, you should be challenged to make a pawn for chess. Something where it's a pretty simple Revolute project, where it's got a bunch of arcs, straight lines, maybe a spline or two, and you can revolve that, and you can make a very complicated object relatively quickly. What tends to happen when you're talking about the revolve tool is that you, if you want, you can make a line, and then you can make any kind of object over here on any different side. Whoops, let me join this too. You can make any different shape that you would like, but anytime it's going to be a Revolute project, you're talking about this profile and then the line, the axis of revolution that you've actually spinning it around. So if I go and try and add some dimensions onto this, if I say, this is 40 millimeters in radius, this one, 25, for example, this is 50 millimeters tall. I'm just throwing out random dimensions on this. And let's say that is, 35 millimeters up. What else? This needs some radii here. So the trick is that if you just treat this as a totally normal line, anytime you are adding dimensions to it, it's obviously going to be, if I make this 80, this is kind of just going to be a radius dimension. But the trick is that if you wanted to actually type in the diameter of this, because you know it's going to be revolved, then you actually need to change this. This is a normal line, and we're going to be changing this by opening up the sketch palette, by clicking on that line. We're going to be changing this to a center line. You can see this kind of dash dot style. So it knows that this is going to be the axis of revolution. So anything that you dimension from it is now going to be a diameter. So you can see this was an 80 mil radius. Obviously, that's 160 diameter. And it's the exact same thing. And the nice thing about that is when you go into the Revolute tool, not only does it automatically set or click the profile because there is only one profile, but you've already set this as an axis of revolution. So it's already selected it as the axis. It's done all the work for you. All you do is click OK, and this kind of funky ring shape it's done. So if you're making the fantasy ring, the project before in Chapter 1, all of the dimensions that we have to that center line are radii. But obviously, when you're dealing with actual rings, nobody knows the distance from the out of the finger to the center. That's always going to be a diameter. Then this is exactly how you would put it in there. So just a little bit of information about that.
Home run. PC Van Fleet says, Jake with the gold again. Pure gold. Nice little ring analogy there too. Let's see here. So David Dickens said, hello from Ireland. I also love the box. I'll go back and add a review. I'm not sure.
Oh, thank you very much. The silicon box, I imagine they're talking about.
Oh, yeah. That was, David, were you the one? Somebody had silicon molded something. Oh, that was something we should shout out. Let's shout that out.
I definitely want to shout that out.
Yeah, that was in the silicon molding. So somebody actually went out and made a silicon mold. Was that, if that was you? I also love the book, he says. That wasn't the box, but hey, it reminded us of another project that was amazing. This project is so cool. Did we talk about this last week?
We have not talked about this. So this, I think, is, Chapter 3.2. This is for the silicon mold. The idea with the class is that you can pull in any
Legacy of Bob. He's here.
Awesome. Yeah,
cool.
Dude.
Cool.
That was an awesome project.
The
silicon mold.
Loved that project.
Yeah. You can essentially cut out any object that you want from this kind of block. And if you say this block is silicone, it has some physical features, it has some density built into it, then you know exactly how much silicone you need. Silicone's kind of an expensive material. And so you can kind of save some money so you don't overmix more silicone than you actually need. And it's a pretty simple project. It's kind of just getting you into the vibe of what is a component, how can you import objects from Thingiverse, how can you convert and mesh them using the combined cut tool. It's got a bunch of little tiny tricks in there. But he's actually taken this and used it in a real project. So it looks like he's made these really awesome book closers, which I need to make some. My fiance is a huge bookworm. But he's actually taken this 3D object, actually made not only the object that you're printing, the buck, and then made a little area for this so the silicon doesn't leak out. So he's made the molding box as well. Filled it with silicone, let it cure, popped it out. I actually really dig that you can see all of the printer lines on there because silicon picks up the tiniest details.
I love it. Yeah.
And then melted in some old little bits of plastic filaments. This little toaster oven melts in there, and then at the very end, they all come together and pop out. I love this so much.
I also do, because one of the, I mean, I think it's such an obvious answer to what do I do with that leftover filament?
Yeah.
Which everybody asks. So as soon as I saw this project, I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what you do. You make a mold and you just heat it up, and love this so much. He said, in Legacy of Bob, I want to point out this comment too. Yeah, I should have realized that the model would be a little too thin to work, but now that I'm getting better at CAD, I plan to make my own model that's thicker. So awesome. You should definitely do that. And also, this is like, I love this comment because that's the product development process. You have to try it to figure out what works and what doesn't. That's part of the whole deal. So kudos to you. Thanks for showing up today. And
hats off.
Yeah, we love shouting out projects like this. So keep up the amazing work, and let us know when you get that model right, because we'd probably like to make it as well. And this is a project, I mean, I could see adding this project into schools, and this is one of those ones I could very much see using. I actually think so. We work with the local museum. I think they would love this project. Can you imagine?
There's a bunch of projects like this where you can melt down plastic to reuse it. PLA is an obvious one because it's such a low melting plastic. But I've seen people use oh gosh, I'm totally forgetting the name of it. Plastic 2. It's the plastic material that you get on milk jugs and like mustard containers and like detergent, where it's kind of slick, but it's got kind of a grit to it as well. That's a super low melting point, and you can melt it, pour it into a mold, let it cure, and you can do it over and over and over again. And it's a super slick material. So I've actually seen the YouTuber Peter Brown. If you guys are into woodworking or silicon molding or resin or anything like that, you absolutely need to subscribe to him. He's amazing. And he was like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to make really low friction runners for my table saw for like a ton of sleds and a ton of jigs that I'm going to build onto it. I'm like, that's awesome. So I guarantee this would be fantastic for it as well.
A word. It's PC Van Fleet reminding us, by the way, don't ruin your oven with plastic. That would be a nightmare. So you can see he's got this nice big tray here.
Oh, it's in a tray as well.
It's in a microwave oven, so it's not in the full oven. Just be very, very careful if you decide to do something like this. Yeah. Too many of those like gooey disasters, and it will ruin your oven. And if you, by the way, really quickly, if you are in here, please hit that thumbs up button so YouTube knows that we're interesting, or maybe we're not. Hit that thumbs up button, and if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, we'd very much appreciate a subscription. We're trying to hit that monetize. I think we need 3,000 watch hours, so we're slowly plugging along. We do 3 short form content bits a week. So those are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday typically. And then we have some longer form stuff that comes out occasionally. We'll probably live stream next Friday. We're going to be in Maker Faire starting next Friday. And not this coming one, but the next one after that. So Maker Faire this coming Friday. We'll probably do some live streams from there. So please do subscribe. And Legacy of Bob says, I bought a used toaster oven off of Facebook. Yep, perfect. Like $19. Exactly. Yes. That $19 is like the investment in the mouse that saves your wrist that you might eventually have to have surgery on. It's like, yes, that you just saved yourself a bunch of money by buying that.
Speaking of Maker Faire, really quick, if any of you guys are going to Maker Faire in Roseville, California,
not in Roseville, in Vallejo. It's at Mare Island at Vallejo. Roseville is a different collaboration we have.
Gotcha. Well, if you guys are going to be in the Maker Faire in California, Northern California, and you guys see us wandering around, absolutely say hi. We would love to take a picture with you. We love meeting everyone. We were at Open Source in San Francisco a couple months ago, and we met a kid who literally leaned over and says, "Josh Manley, dude, I love CAD class."
So cool. We love meeting you.
And it was the coolest thing in the world.
That's just
so
so
we
cool.
love meeting him. Yeah. All right. Give me some more CAD stuff.
All right. And by the way, now everybody's in the chat right now, so please do leave your questions if you have any. We love answering them live, but we'll just keep jamming through some of our agenda. So on the non-CAD side, kind of funny. I'll just mention this briefly because this is too much about us. But I spoke at City Council last night.
Yeah.
So I got to go and actually walk up and present. I can't say anything about why I spoke at City Council, but there's some good stuff coming down the line, and it should be announced probably by next week. I think the official announcement should be out. But I got to speak about something that I'm really excited about: innovation CAD. Some of our Fusion programs getting incorporated potentially into the city of Sacramento. So a huge shout out to the city of Sacramento, to the folks who made that happen, and to the community here that's been just completely amazing for CAD class. There is actually a video on the website. We tweeted out a little link to. It's just a photo of me standing up there and actually do the talking. I only talk for about a minute, and I just thank people and talk about the future of innovation briefly. But super fun, and we're it's all part of this. Like, we're excited to continue to gain momentum here. The more people that come into this community and make comments and kind of feed it, I think the better we all are, and the more that Jake and I can focus on making more tutorials and getting better and better at what we do, so that hopefully you guys can bring your ideas to life. So super awesome. Aaron, here's a good question. I found working with the decals on the Saturn V rather cumbersome. Do you have any tips for using those? We did talk about this a little bit last week, but we can talk about it again.
So decals in Fusion is the idea that you can take a image, anything you want, PNG, JPEG, and stick it onto any object. And if your object is curved, then the stick will actually wrap around it. So that's really rad. If you're working on a product for a client and you say, hey, what's your logo? And you add a logo to that 3D model, they go insane for it. They love it. It's a really good little trick if you want to build up a little bit more of your portfolio. But decals can be a little tricky when you're dealing with either really large image on a small object or a really long, skinny one, because it can kind of taper a little bit as it's going around. You can kind of imagine it like a head-on projection where the edges are getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier as they go further away. And so they can warp a little bit. But if you're talking about, I believe on our appearance where we actually have the letters USA cut into it, that's not a decal, that is an emboss. Because that will actually come up in the on the AR model when we actually bring a smartphone out and look at it. But decals or pictures on the surface will not show up in an AR file because it's not actually a 3D object. Weirdly enough, though, the appearance will, but a decal will not, kind of annoyingly. So it's just a little workaround on that.
Yeah, and it says, I found working with the decal. So we said that already. And then like the text on the ring says David Dickens. Yeah, we've had a lot of comments on there about how that text warps wrapping around the ring. Yep, that's definitely, that's just kind of the way it works. So
yeah,
not going to be perfect.
If you'd like, the trick to actually making it perfect is to take that image and find a website where you can take a JPEG to what's called an SVG, scalable vector graphic. And this is where it actually makes kind of like an outline of all the pixels. Instead of little blocks, it actually makes mathematical lines.
Do you have any SVGs? Can you show it? Because I think that
I don't think I have any. Let me take a look through my files.
Maybe we can download a quick one, because one of the things I think that's really interesting is we had early on in our program, we had somebody go through the Lord of the Rings ring, and that's actually their wedding band.
Yeah.
So I think one of the questions that person had was, can I make it an actual cutout of it? So if I were to mold it or make it, it's kind of got the indentation of the letters and not just the decal. So do we have?
I'm not sure I have any SVG.
We might not. So maybe that's something we do, or maybe just download a quick SVG somewhere. If not, if it takes more than a couple minutes, we don't necessarily have to do that. But I think that's something that people would be interested in.
Yeah. If you go into, so if you do have an SVG file, you just go into Insert and then SVG, and you just need to put it on a plane, and then you can just use the emboss tool to basically select all the letters of whatever is on that description, and then select the surface of the object, and then it will emboss it perfectly. We use that all the time for any clients where they want to have a logo or a drawing or a bit of art where it needs to be proud or recessed into the surface. It works great.
So Sam says, just posted the Discord. So I popped open the Discord live here. What did he say? Very small part. I need to make a urethane mold possible. Okay. So check it out. Pull up the I made a thing.
Let's do it.
That's actually a pretty cool little design.
Yeah.
We enter the matrix. Welcome. If you're just stopping in, it's really nice to have you. Please hit that like button, say hello, tell us maybe where you're calling in from in the world and what project you're either working on in our program or kind of working on your own. We'd love to know.
Funny little part to CAD. Now I have to figure out the best way to make it for a mid-80s Ford wiper motor. Ooh, that's a
Very
good
small
one.
Part,
okay.
I need to make a urethane mold.
Okay. I'm imagining this is going to be made. This is going to be molded with a hard plastic. So I would actually make this as a 3-part mold instead of just a 2-part mold, which is slightly more difficult. Actually, it's a good amount more difficult, but it's something that you can absolutely do, Sam. What I kind of think of when I look at all these shapes, really, is I try and look at all of these edges and then any of the volume above if there's no undercuts to it. So when I look at this and I go, okay, well, there's obviously this kind of surface under there where I'm going, okay, well, that could be a parting line. All this material above that could just pull away. That's fine. But then looking at all the objects downwards, because that would be the location or the direction that your mold would then pull off, you actually have this undercut right there. So obviously that wouldn't work. But if you then look at the kind of cross section this way that goes down the center, that's 90 degrees to that passing line, that you would actually have a mold top section and then 2 front and back that come apart. So I would actually, if you want to send me the file right now, Sam, we can kind of cut this up very, very simply.
Yeah, he said,
but this is...
Can I share the Fusion file? Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
Has he already shared a file with us before? Well, I guess you could probably share it on the Discord. Is it there? Oh, great.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Groovy.
Yeah.
God, I love Fusion so much. We could just send file. Yeah, absolutely. So I would then... So what I would do is I would make a parting line right at this horizontal line right there that then comes up. And then I would make another parting line that goes from that bottom edge down, or excuse me, from this side. Oops, right. There we go. From this point downwards, then you've got this kind of rectangle right there, and then another rectangle right there, and then another, the top of the mold up top. I think that would work really, really well for you, just because then they can crack away. And anytime you're working with this, you can actually 3D print the negative of this as the mold encasing, which is really, really great. And then you can do a bunch of positive and negative molds to get the final negative out of silicone. But this would be a fantastic project to do. I can see that being really, really awesome. This is obviously a car part if it's coming from Sam.
Yeah, and I was just reminded. Yeah, it's definitely. He said it's a wiper motor, something like that. But one of the notes about Sam too is Sam is actually one of our graduates, and if you've noticed on the CAD class Discord, we now have our CAD class graduates kind of separated out. So if anybody in this chat right now is actually a graduate of ours, and we haven't given you that label yet, let us know. We love seeing those graduates in there, and we can, we know that they've at least been vetted through some of our programs. So if they answer a question, there's a decent chance that it's a pretty solid answer.
They know what they're talking about.
Decent chance, yeah. You forget a lot quickly too, though. So
no, not Sam.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Sam's using it quite a bit, it looks like. So that's awesome. Congrats, Sam. That's we'd love to see the progress as you go.
God, that's awesome. I love seeing stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Any more Fusion stuff? Give me.
Any more Fusion related questions? Let me see here. We talked about the ice cream scoop last week, which was really neat. We did have a question in the surfboard section. And I'm wondering, I don't know if they got it answered yet here, but it says, okay, I took a crack at the bottle making. Here's my question though. After doing the loft to create the design, is there a way to hollow the inside to a set diameter? Or do I need to set my initial design to use multiple circles or shapes at say 2 millimeters thickness and then do the loft feature?
So there's more than one way to skin a cat. For this bottle idea, there's actually two main ways that I would go about it. One of the parts of CAD that is where you're trying to get to is that you have as few features in your timeline as possible. So let's kind of work from the lofting tool that we do in the project, which will take many features, and then we'll kind of whittle down until we're only going to use 2 features to make the bottle. So with the bottle, let's say we'll use 4 circles and 4 planes. Does that sound about right? So let's say if I make a circle on this bottom thing that is 50 millimeters tall, and then I will make another plane. How tall is is like a Coke bottle, would you say, Josh?
How tall is a Coke bottle? Probably about a
200
12 inch. Probably a little, about that. Maybe a little bigger. 200 mil sounds about right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't believe Josh has had a bottle of Coke in 20 years.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So I'm just going to be making just a couple circles that are elevated from each other. If you guys have worked on the surfboard project, then this is all looking fairly familiar. Obviously, a little out of order, though. Make another one there. And I am making this up as I go along. All right. So the idea with the lofting tool is that you can have multiple profiles that are parallel to each other on different planes, and then we can go into the create. Oops, there we go. Aha.
7.4 inches tall. PC Van Vliet.
7.4.
That's
no idea. And then you can go through. So this is obviously not exactly what it's supposed to look like. But the groovy thing about lofts is you can actually add in rails right here. And a rail is essentially a curve that actually then will follow the curvature, but you just need to make sure that the rail passes through all these. So obviously this is not looking quite like a Coke bottle. So let's change that. Let's go into a sketch, and I'm going to make it perpendicular to all these. And then I'm just going to be projecting all those circles right here. So they will pop up on our plane. So you can see that I'm going to pull in a fit point spline, and I'm just going to be clicking on the outside of these curves. The big part of a rail is that it intersects all of these points perfectly. And as you can see, this actually looks identical to our loft that we had. So I'm going to then kind of play around with all these vertices, just a little bit together.
Yeah, I don't even know what this is. I know there's a word for what those movable bars are, but I don't know.
I've said vertices for so long, it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got now got our rail that looks a little bit closer. Oh, I have no idea why that happens. All right. So now again, let's click on our 4 profiles. Oh, whoops. But one of the things that I selected, or accidentally already was selected, was that rail. So we actually don't want any of that. So I would like to start from the bottom. That usually helps. So you go from the bottom upwards. And then the rail, we can then click on there. And it's looking a little funky. Let's say... how can I fix this? Oh, I can actually fix this by mirroring that to the other side.
What do you mean fixing it? That was perfect. It's exactly like a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Bezier control points, or Bezier. I'm not sure.
Bezier, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I want to mirror, excuse me. So you can see this is actually taking a lot of time to get this looking right. It's not the fastest operation, but it does utilize what we learned. There we go. There we go. That's looking a little
looks
bit.
exactly. Yeah.
It looks just like a Coke bottle. Yeah,
Yeah.
as you can see. It's not exactly
That's
right.
awesome. That's awesome.
Obviously, it is going to be revolved. Is the real trick? But for this, the trick to make it hollow is just select that top surface, and then if we kind of peek inside, there you go. Then we have got an open container at the very top, and then even hollow walls all the way around. But that's one of the less than perfect ways that you could use to make that. The other way to do it, that we would actually recommend, is to make a revolved plane or a revolved profile. So if we just make the base, if I just make the bottom surface right there, and then add in some fit point splines, again, we can just use 4 of them. And click OK. Then I can mess around with these Bezier curves or Bezier. That looks just fine. I can offset this to have, let's say, 2 millimeter thickness. Use the line tool to connect this. I'm looking for the inside, there we go, to be a solid color. Oh, perfect. I can actually just trim off these bits then. Perfect. So if you can click the inside and it does turn this kind of nice sky blue, then that's perfect. Then I can go into my revolve and then select that line as the axis. And it looks identical to the other one in every single way.
It's perfect. It reminds me actually of a project I still actually have in my head that I want to do. Is I wanted to make a vase that a speaker sits down inside of to kind of hide the 2 speakers that typically sit next to the TV or anywhere like that. So like just the speaker will be set like this. The nice thing about a cavity on the inside of the cavity like that is it has enough volume to help with the bass side of speakers. And so I still kind of have it in my head that I would like to hide some speakers inside of a vase using a design not too dissimilar to what you just made.
I feel like that would be really bassy. Really bassy.
It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Huh?
You need so much volume of air to actually hide speakers. You need so much volume of air to really
actually
do it. So
push back and forth.
Yeah, so like if you're installing a subwoofer in a car, you need the more space the better, but there are some formulas that spell it out. So even then I think it would be pretty tiny. I do want to shout somebody else out though. I don't know if you're done with this, but if you are, I want to shout somebody out. If you're not, keep jamming.
No, the last thing to say about this is that obviously the scales and the dimensions are slightly different between these two, but they're topologically completely identical. But the idea with this is that in this option, as you can see down in the bottom left, we actually only have 2 features to make this object. But if we go into the first one where we use the offset plane and sketches and then lofting, and then you need to shell it, and then you need multiple rails, you've got way more features in your timeline to get essentially the exact same thing. So in some scenarios, lofting makes absolutely the perfect sense for it. In some scenarios, if you know that it's going to be a perfectly rotationally symmetric object, then using the revolve tool is not only faster, but your timeline is way smaller. So if you need to make any edits, it's actually more of the information is in one location, so it's even faster to do that. So this is just the different ways to do it. Obviously, one way is much better than the other. All right, what are we shouting at, man?
Okay, so we got a shout out here. Probably my favorite remixed project that we have is the geocache hide. So we shouted a geocache hide out last week. There was a hide container. So for those of you who don't know in here, geocaching is it's like a worldwide GPS based game. So people hide these little geocaches everywhere and put the coordinates in there, and then other people can find them. It's like a worldwide treasure hunt is how we like to think about it. So
it's for people that do it, it's like there's usually very local stuff. So I think there's about one every square mile on the planet. So there's very likely one, or there's very likely probably 100 in your city. But then people will go on hikes and they'll go to different countries, and they'll go in the middle of nowhere because at the very top of this mountain there's a geocache. It's a good reason to kind of go out and
it's a reason to explore.
nature.
It's so cool. I think it's such a cool idea. So
it's so right. But you feel like Indiana
Google
Jones when you do it in the middle of nowhere. It's
yeah. So check that out. So actually scroll up a little bit, right? Because we have these knurls. Look at these knurls. This is basically a 3-dimensional knurl.
So cool.
These look incredible. Who was that?
These look awesome.
This
was Vasil.
Yeah, Vasil. I'm not sure how to say that. That's the second time we've mentioned this person. They were the ones who did the little video tutorial for somebody else.
Oh,
helping somebody else out, right? So this is such a cool container. I don't know. It looks like a little grenade. So maybe there's an issue there. But that's awesome. It's so rad. And I like that you took the time to make this look a little bit better and a little bit cleaner. So that's really cool. I like the cross section too. That's a lot of fun. So you can see the cavity inside. But this last one was what made me amazing knurls. Yeah, show us your knurls. PC Van Vliet. Amazing knurls. Hashtag show us your knurls. That's just cracking me up. And then we had was this Connie? Yeah, Connie. Printed by Geocache. I checked that out. Love it. Thread fits perfectly. So I think this is meant to be hidden.
On a traffic sign.
Yeah, how cool is that?
And they put the geocache logo on there. So one of the things with geocaching is the people that aren't into geocaching, they're called muggles. And so anytime that you're geocaching, you have to be kind of cool, kind of casual. You can't be super obvious, or else muggles will then go over and pick up this random container and they'll go, "What the hell is this?" I've had I have a geocache that I've put maybe like few hundred feet away from my house, that anytime I get a notification on my phone, it's, oh, someone found this. I always like to lean out my window and see them and wave at them. And I've done a better job at hiding it now and making it a little bit easier for the geocaches to find it and be in and out of there. But in the same location not long ago, it's a little harder to find. It was a little bit behind something. And the cops got called because some of the neighbors thought people were planning drugs.
Oh.
So if you're doing it in a residential area, make it really easy to find, so it's really quick to grab it and then you're off. Because if people are hanging around for a long time, people get a little suspicious.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but then they've printed it, and I love this. Anyway, moral of the story is, if you're making a geocache, put a little sign on it saying this is an official geocache. This isn't drugs. This isn't a drop. And this is the logo.
Check out how clean this is, too. The 3D print looks amazing.
This is just a lovely, lovely print.
Do we have a quick invite link to the Discord? Yes, we definitely do. Let me open that up right now and see if I can find you a quick link. So let me link to that.
Lovely, really print.
Copy link. I'm going to paste it here, and you will have access.
Fantastic.
I think that's the right one. Hopefully that's correct. Let me know if that works for you. Let me know if that works for you. All right, Jake. It's about that time. We had a great turnout this week. I think at some point 12 or 13 people are in here watching. That's awesome. Love to have you every week. It's really nice to see the same people come in, and hopefully you're getting more and more out of this. Please do leave us any suggestions, questions, thoughts, ideas you have in the Discord. You can put it in the general discussion.
That spherical knurl last week, that was fantastic.
Yeah, now we have somebody that did it. So
I know.
Now we got to figure out what they did, because that turned out really nice.
I know. I'm a little annoyed at how good it looks.
Yeah. Thanks so much for stopping by, Aaron. PC Van Vliet. Who else do we have? Just shout out Sam, if you're still here. David. Just gonna go back through and quickly see Legacy of Bob. Awesome seeing what you made. I think we already said David. Aaron, we said.
Cool Whip, good to have you.
Cool Whip, really nice. Maple Leaf Makers, if you're still here, it's really nice to see you every week. Yeah, tons of goodness. We had Patrick. What else do we have? Cool. It's been fun. Until next Wednesday at 9:30 Pacific. We'll see you there.
See you guys.
Take care. Later.
Peace.